Hello and welcome. This is Kristen from the Online Selling Show, and I'm here to share in part 5 of what my Whatnot series is. What happened in the sale I decided to run last night. So to give you a little background, there are 4 prior episodes to this, and that is my decision for why I wanted to use this channel, what my first show was and how it went through with trying to get the account set up and doing the first show. This episode is going to go through some more of those pitfalls that I found in holding my show, some of the things I had to learn kind of along the way, and hopefully give you some tips and tricks in doing your sale as well, because I'm not finding there is a lot of discussion about this sales platform. I will tell you though, about this platform, I am finding that the feel and the vibe among the people in it and the discussion is what I experienced when I started my endeavor of online shopping, which was back in 2002. So I have been into this almost 23 years, and close those windows. The people, the vibe, the experience of trying to talk about it among people, that is what it was like back in the wild west days of dealing with Amazon and eBay. So when I started to worry and think about what I was going to do, like how was I going to handle this, because my first show was a flop. I had no engagement, I had no sales, but I know that this platform has a lot of upside to it. My plan on this platform and how it's going to fit to my business is I'm looking for high volume, low ticket price, and making it kind of become that income that was going to be like the bill paying bread and butter income. And I think a lot of us are going to estate sales and yard sales, and we're seeing things that are going to be worthwhile, but you know that trying to put them on eBay is going to be problematic because it's going to be like a huge lot you would have to sell to make it worth your time to do it. Or maybe if you do sell them all individually, you're going to be sitting on them for a while. There'll be a lot of competition. And I'm finding the Whatnot, if you go on there and you're able to do a certain presentation for yourself, and I'm noticing that people who tend to be on there regularly have a good following, and I believe in my heart of hearts, it's going to be no different than you having basically your own home shopping network or QVC type of show. What I believe I'm going to be looking at is things that are in the Christmas mart, the Christmas, the kids, and then maybe some of these toys and stuff. I definitely don't believe I will be in anything to do with like sports cards or jewelry. That's just not my passion. So I was sitting here thinking to myself, okay, Kristen, you need to get back into listing. You need to get rid of a bulk of stuff out of your dead pile, because it is now the first week of March, and I promised myself I wanted to be back at sales at the beginning of April, and I need to get rid of it. And I was thinking to myself, first I was going to do a craft show, and I put that up last week with about a 2-day lead time away, and I wasn't getting many people bookmarking it. So that kind of made me double think, like maybe I don't have the right product. And I went and I backed it up a week. So I said, okay, now, Kristen, I'm kind of getting fed up because I keep saying I want to do stuff and I'm just not doing it. So I said, okay, fine. What else can I sell? So to give you some background, I chose the Fisher-Price Little People, the little figures and the furniture and the cars and all. That's from the vintage 1970 sets. If you see the video that I did talking about the woman who had a house chock full to the rafters of goods, I'll try to put the estate sale that I shopped it at down below, a link to that video. I got huge, like over 500 pieces of stuff. I had them sorted out and put into those storage tubs that you would basically fit like a pair of shoes in. And I probably have a dozen of those stacked up in the basement now because I never got to even look or touch them after I bought them. And the busy season for us in our wholesale business got busy. I just put them down there, and I've been walking past them numerous times, and I thought they would be the perfect product to get started with, because for one, they have a following, they have a built-in intrinsic value because they're vintage. There's people that want them. For me, I've been doing some watching and researching on the Whatnot, and people tend to do these random pull shows. That is PULL for pull. And what they're doing is they're basically, if you think in the clothing world, they're just saying that everything that they're going to bring up is going to basically be, let's say, $1. And they would just click something on the phone, bring up an item, whatever they had, show it, hit the button to start the auction. People would bid or not bid, whatever it was. They would put that and then move on to the next one. And it just kept showing up like random number 1, random number 2. And they were just hitting a button. And I thought, okay, I could do that with the Fisher Price figures and get some volume of movement through here. I'm going to take a calculated risk in the sense that maybe if I'm doing them for $1, maybe I'm losing some money, but I'm not losing a lot of money. And for me, as I indicated, you got to practice. You're going to pay for this in some way. I figured this was, if I was going to lose money, I'm not losing a lot of money. But it also allowed me to somewhat have control over the shipping. Because they're so little, I wasn't going to have to worry about them being big and bulky and combining or very heavy. So I was going to be able to combine the shipping reasonably cheaply. They were going to be an item that were going to be repetitive, that I could charge a fixed price for. I was going to have a built-in amount of people that were going to want that already, and the collectability of them. So, and I'd been passionate about them in that I played with these and I was collecting them again when my child was young. This is a toy that people or kids between the age of about 2.5 to 3 till about 8 play with. And they were things that I know I could talk with comfortably about what was the things like the lithos on them, or knowing that the wood body is more desirable than the plastic. So I had the right conversations I could have around them, but I also knew what things that were concerning regarding damage and stuff, where I could have that conversation too. So this was what led me up to it. But I also knew from watching these shows that a lot of the people that are into this professionally tend to have like some kind of a setup around them, where if they're showing clothes, they may have handbags or shoes behind them or something else that would be the upsell piece, that if somebody wanted it, they could ask about it and you could put that into the show, but it wasn't something you were necessarily advertising to be part of the show. So I brought in the little cars and some other random pieces from the accessories that just happened to be in another tub below, because I wanted to run the sale with an advertised start price of $1. Having them there in a tub, showing them, asking about any interest, allowed me to bring them into the show and do something a higher priced for them. In the preparation of the show, I made it simple. I just did it in my spare bedroom where it's very clean, uncluttered, so that I could just focus on setting up the camera. Didn't have to worry about how all the rest of the stuff behind me was going to look. And I tried to keep the camera more off myself, so I didn't have to worry about if I was dressed appropriately or whatever type of, I wasn't getting myself done up with makeup and all that. No, I wasn't worried about all that, because you've seen me like this all the time. And I figured this would be the easiest way to just get started. Now, here's some of the problems that I ran into. One was I did the setup in the back end, which would be like the listings of any other platform we've been on. And my mistake was in thinking that they had to be in the same realm of somebody like eBay or Amazon, where it would just be simplistic for me to add a listing, so to speak, on the back end where it's not visible to the buyer until you start clicking to bring it into the auction. And I did one for $1, one for $2, and one for $3. So I had 3 listings back there, figuring that would be easy enough, because when I go into these random pool shows, I just see people hitting the buttons, and as one goes, the next one goes, and they're just hitting a button. I figured they must just be doing like a sell similar or a clone or copy or whatever terminology. Well, that was my mistake. But there wasn't a way for me to really practice this ahead of time until I got to that point. And thank God these people were so nice. They were so kind. They talked to each other, even among themselves. They knew each other. They were just very nice about understanding when I told them this was only my second show. and I thought I had to set up. They actually gave me enough guidance that I was able to figure out that the best way that I should have done this for was on that back end, putting in a quantity. I thought if I had a quantity of one, that was what I needed, because I figured if I put like a quantity of more, that meant when I was auctioning it off, they were going to be able to buy multiple quantities of the same item. And that's where I was so focused on the specifics of each item that I had to remember this is a random pool. If I put up 100 items and I hit the button to bring one in, that left 99 on the back end, because these are random. So the price, the platform is viewing them as being the same, but you're allowing them to only auction on one. And the other thing I liked about that was when I hit to go to the second quantity, it numbered them, and that's how they got it, where it would be random pool 1, random pool 2. They were actually doing that in the platform itself by having things set up as a multiple quantities. So that is definitely something I learned. It is something I will be using in the future shows so that I don't have to worry about having to set up. That was so stressful for me. Felt like I was wasting time, because that leads me to the second one, is that I highly recommend, if you have a way to get a friend or a family member, somebody to be, I don't know if I necessarily needed the moderator more as I needed the on-site helper. The moderator to me is more of the person who was going to be in the chat and helping. I've seen moderators on like the kids clothing where they will continuously put up, let's say that this is a size 12 month, this red dress is size 12 month. So that way that the person presenting them didn't have to keep saying that aspect of it and could talk about the details of what, let's say, the dress had. Where I didn't really feel like I needed the moderator. I was able to keep up with the chat. We had a very organic conversation go on. I felt there was really good engagement that way going on. I had probably over 24 different individual people come through. I had 4 buyers, 3 were heavy buyers. The 4th one, she only bought a few things. But during the engagement, I definitely made it a point to set up a time for another show. They all agreed, the 4 buyers, like they want to be there. I set it up. I did this on Friday night at 8 o'clock. That was the other thing I kept getting hung up on, was when was my timing going to be? I'll get back to that in a second, but I made it a point to say, okay, fine, I have something tomorrow and Saturday, but Sunday night, if we want to come back, I'll do this at 8 o'clock again, Eastern Standard Time. And they were all saying that they started following me, and I could see that come in during the show. And my problem with setting the time was I'm on the East Coast, so it was like I don't want to do anything that's too late for us, but too early for the Pacific Coast, which is 3 hours behind me. That was a little bit of a trial, but I'm really having to learn. You just kind of get over that. Just do it whenever you want to do it. People are in and out all day, all night. I think the consistency is going to be more of the key, because people want to follow that like they follow other TV shows or other channels. They want to know, like, Wednesday at 3 o'clock, that's when you're going to be on. That is I think the more specific thing. If you're only going to do it once a week, just do it once a week, but do it Wednesday at 3 o'clock every week per se. I'm just saying as an example. If you're going to do Tuesdays and Thursdays, do Tuesdays and Thursdays. Don't do Tuesday and Thursday this week and then Saturday and, I don't know, Wednesday or something next week. Keep it so that it's consistent, that they know when they can expect, especially if you're doing a specific product, meaning if I'm going to do my Fisher Price, I'm going to do that on that same time schedule all the time, and then maybe my kids gets to be on another specific day at a specific time, so that you can build that clientele up. That's not to say that maybe my toy collector will not be looking into kids' clothes. They can, but they can know and have an expectation of what it is you're going to be bringing in. So the main reason I felt like I could have used somebody on site was, one of the things you're doing is you're trying to do the engagement. You're trying to do this part on the computer. You're trying to do this stuff on the screen to get the listings brought in and up. So you're doing that part. The thing I made the mistake of was I didn't pre-screen through what I was randomly pulling out. There was multiple things in there. One, there is stuff I expect I'm going to be selectively putting up on eBay for a higher ticket item. I'm not a fool now. I mean, trust me, I know what some of this stuff is. That's the good stuff is really going over there. The high priced items are going over there. But there was stuff in there. Again, I mentioned these were for kids between 3 and 8 years old. These are 10, they put it in their mouth, and there's things like ears broken off or teeth marks, and there's certain stuff that the collectors really just don't want. I should have moved that stuff out of the tubs originally, so that with the random pool, I didn't really have to sit. I kept spending too much time looking through because I had them to my side, trying to put that old stuff out of the way. I probably should have not been so focused there because I was missing some of the things that was happening on the screen. The stuff that was happening was, like, one point I put something up for auction and I didn't realize I had hit the button for auction, and I looked away and I missed the pop-up saying that someone had bought it, and I said, oh, I guess this didn't go up, and I hit the button again, and thank God I had a second one of these items that appears in it's the same figure, same condition, and everything else. I don't know if the buyer intended to buy both that went up for auction or thought that it didn't go up. I don't know. But the buyer wanted buying back-to-back 2 items because I was so focused in so many different directions that I missed it. And like I said, luckily I can just fix it and put that there. And then the other thing the helper would have been, after the items did sell, I was trying to keep piles for these 4 buyers. And sometimes I think I was putting the wrong item in the wrong pile. I only mixed up, I think, 2 items. It really wasn't that bad, but I had to go back and rewatch this from start to finish because they do give you a way to go back where there's like almost like a timestamp for the item. But I did find that the timestamp wasn't always necessarily the best. It did have items that were the ending of the auction from before it, and you kind of had to watch it further to see what the item was specific to that buyer. I can see where people mention like, oh, thanks, Mary, for buying that. And thanks, Steve, you're the winner. Or you got a great deal on that, Mary. Like, people mention that, and I can see where that is a benefit because if you have to go back and watch by saying their username, it did give you a confirmation to know that that was that person, and that goes to their pile. I think that if you had that helper and they were just handing you the random pool stuff, they could be over there on the side visually going through and double checking everything to make sure as they're handing it to you that it's in the price point that you wanted it to be, because I did have a couple items that I intended to sell for $3 and I put them up for $1. Again, it's a learning curve. I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but if you can have that person helping you, and then as the stuff sells, they're controlling which pile to make sure that they go into, that will cut down on that time afterwards. Because this was an hour and a half that I spent in this. I sold 57 or 58 items. The total value was only $98, which isn't bad. I will say why in a minute, but I was not really as paying attention as I should have been. The per item charge is probably not even 20 cents a piece for these items, but they do charge you the commission, and then there is a flat 30-cent fee. That 30-cent fee did start adding up. I'm going to be getting almost $63 from this sale, and that doesn't look like a whole lot, obviously. Even taking out the, let's say, $10 or $11, I'm still going to be making at least $25 an hour. This will be 4 items in packages to ship. So because it's lightweight, it's going to be easy. I don't have to do a whole lot of stuff for worrying about the stuff breaking. This will be an easy, I'm going to be making $25 an hour. And that's not including the purchasing of these items, but at the same time, I got over 500 of these things. These aren't even what I'm saying that are going to be the top, the creme de la creme of this stuff. So I'm expecting that I'm going to be making quite a bit of money out of this sale. I pretty much got back about not quite half of what I put out already. So I expect that this is going to pay for itself very quickly. This gave me the education for this platform that I would be paying for in one way or another. I'm looking at it as still a win-win. So to wrap this up, I highly recommend that you choose some really non-breakable, lightweight, repetitious kind of stuff to get started with. Just keep it simple. Don't worry about what all these other professionals are doing. Just keep it very simple. I literally had a tripod with my phone on it, just a very uncluttered background, and a table with some tubs. That was it. I did not go into it too much. Get yourself a helper if you can. Keep yourself aware of what those fees are going to be and how they're going to start adding up. Try to keep yourself, maybe it would have been better for me to have like some kind of paper with the person's name or a box for them with their name, that this stuff could have been better organized. So just give that kind of thought. Definitely get yourself on the back end of the listing set up with multiple quantities in it. And then I'll be back in after tomorrow's show and I get to start shipping this stuff. I am going to have to be doing these with my husband for a while so that we can figure this out. I expect I'll be doing a lot more of this in the upcoming year, and I want to move volume so I can be ready by April 1st because I see some awesome sales. I want to get out there. I see this platform as being that way to allow me to do volume moving of products. Hope you got some good information out of this. I would appreciate a thumbs up if you did. Please leave any comments or questions down below. I think I'm hitting on everything. I'll have to watch the replay. If I didn't, I'll make a point to when I hit it in my next video. I would really ask if you could do me the favor of hitting the subscribe button so I can help build this channel, but it also help you by putting my future videos in your feed. I'm going to say bye for now, and I'll catch you in the next one.